It's really great to be here today. I want to thank, my fellow speakers here. It's been great and inspiring to hear all the talks. I'll spare you the puns, but is everyone feeling recharged, or given the current events, or the shocking, news? This is actually a Trump trick. He says he doesn't want to say something, and he goes on actually to say it. So I kind of, by telling you I'm sparing you the puns, I actually got all the puns that I wanted to get out. So I'm going to take us back in time as well, not a little bit further back in time than Rick. I'm going to the agricultural revolution, so I don't have any props for that. But if we kind of look at the ways that we've kind of governed and run our societies, starting from when we actually started living in forming cities and forming societies, and in terms of the energy resource that we used, I would say we were a solar society. We used wood, photosynthesis instead of photovoltaic. We used wind and water, and really it all comes back to solar energy as stored in differently. But this kept us, we were quite limited in what we could do. And then coal came around, right? Britain built an empire with coal. We had steel mills, we had engines. And then America discovered oil. And we had cars, and we had planes, and petrochemicals. And, the American century was born. But here's the thing about these energy shifts. And, we've heard about this transition. We heard Rick talk about transitions that we've seen. They don't just change the way that we fuel our needs, but they completely flip the script on which countries matter, which economies thrive, and which technologies become possible. So today, I'm going to make, the point that we're living through one of those moments right now. We have entered the era of electricity. I wanted a Twilight Zone like cue sound here, but it would have been difficulty. So if you only take the one thing with the remaining 4 minutes and 35 seconds that I have left, is that it is critical for Canada to take action and lean into electricity if we want to matter technologically, economically, and geopolitically. And let's be clear, oil has been extraordinarily good for our country. It built Alberta's prosperity, it funded our social programs, and helped make us one of the world's wealthiest nations. But this switch is not about that we were wrong in the past. It's really about asking the question, what does the future demand? So let's ask that question. When you think about the future, think about artificial intelligence, advanced manufacturing, robots, precision. What is that going to be powered by, right? What can deliver precision to the millisecond in terms of how many watts or joules, depending on your energy unit of choice? It's electricity. And you know who realizes that? China. So China has been dubbed as the world's first electrostate. This is fresh off the press, this term, last few months. So China basically generates around 30% of the world's electricity. Their national electricity company, number 3 or number 4, depending on the year, in revenue globally, right after Amazon and Walmart. Basically been competing with Saudi Aramco. It's an electricity utility. What they've also done is that they've realized that the future is electric. They dominate the renewables supply chains, the critical mineral supply chains, the battery supply chains. And basically, when we look at that, we realize that, for us to matter and for us to be able to compete globally, we need to catch up. But luckily, the game is not over. Here's the thing also about Canada. We've basically been electrical power pioneers over the century. We've harnessed power from Niagara Falls when people were still burning candles. We've built huge transmission lines over what seemed like impossible distances. And we've also developed, innovative technologies. The first commercial lithium battery came out of Canada. So we're really talking about, can we actually do this? Can Can we double the grid to meet the electrification of transportation and, heating and of society that, fellow speakers talked about earlier in the next 25 years? Well, we've actually doubled the grid every 10 years when we were first building and electrifying basically a continent-sized country. So we're really standing at one of those rare historical moments where the entire basis of economic power is shifting. That was even before the tariff craziness, and now I would argue it's even more. Oil did build the 20th century economy, but electricity will build and is building currently the technological economy of the 21st century. And it's already happening. We're already here. And really, we need to make sure that Canada is leading this instead of watching from the sidelines. We've heard from our speakers earlier today. We have the resources, we have the engineers, we have the knowledge, we have the opportunity. We really need the vision to see electricity, not just something that can power our devices so we can argue on Twitter, but it is really the foundation of economic power in the age of artificial intelligence and also solving climate change. Notice I just said climate change first time. I'm less than a minute in. So you can see what the drivers here are. It's not just that, as I've said, it's not, you don't have to be altruistic to actually think this is important. So this is the message I want to leave you with, is that regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, regardless of your your economic ideologies, it's very clear that Canada has an opportunity here to benefit from this. And we can benefit because there's going to be opportunities across all regions in the country. There's going to be opportunities to really have meaningful Indigenous reconciliation by offering and extending real economic opportunities and ownerships to Indigenous nations to participate in this economic opportunity for the country. So with that, I'll leave you with this one statement. The future is going to be electric. It's not a matter of when, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And as Rick said, there's a deadline there, and we need to make sure that we're meeting it. Thank you.